Welcome to Introduction to Business, offered online by Harper College, Management 111, Intro to Business. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. Okay, let's go into week 13. We're going to be starting week 13 module, and this course is in in conjunction with Blackboard Course Management System. So this week you only got one chapter, chapter 18. Look, we only have, I think, 3 more weeks left, and this course will be over. And I think the last week or so, I'll give you time to work on your feasibility study and your quick PowerPoints. And the PowerPoint's like 4 or 5 slides worth 50 points and 50 or 25 points, I forget whatever I stated in the syllabus. But the feasibility paper is worth 150 points. So those are, you got close to 200 points still left, not counting the final exam. We're almost there. So let's go into week 13. What do we have in this week 13? Taking a little time to open up. Oh, I am in week 13. Sorry. Here we go, week 13. Print out the overview, tells you everything you need. You've got the short, quick YouTube. You're going to have the newer version. You got week 13 forum worth 25 points, up to the forum points to help some of you in your overall grade. And then you have one quiz on chapter 18, and that's worth 20 points. And then you have one connect. Now, this connect is not going to be a LearnSmart connect. It's going to be a presentation type of connect. So it's kind of like a lecture to help you learn on chapter 18 on finance. So let's go into the forms. Now, the forms, remember, we're expanding. We had personal finance, we had accounting, and now we're going to go into finance. And when I'm looking at the finance, here's what I'm going to look at the finance. Let me go up here a little bit, make this just a touch bigger. We're going to look at forecasting and funding. Part of a business or part of your venture or part of your service that you'll be providing or a new product, how are you going to fund this? Now, if it's a business, I'm going to fund it, and how I'm going to be able to fund it, sustain it, so it keeps on growing, and I keep on funding the business so I could make more profitability going forward. So one of the main duties of any business or any venture is the chief financial officer. And when we did the personal finance, everyone is a chief finance officer. And if you are looking, not only do you manage the finances, how you pay the bills and everything else, but you're also looking how do you bring more revenue into the organization. I never told you ever not to charge, because in business we always utilize a line of credit. Is one way of getting extra capital coming in. And it's a decision of a chief financial officer, or he or she may decide to buy stocks or take out bonds or issue bonds as either with equity or with debt financing. Okay, so you're going to state your business always in the top. Just real quickly, I'm a hot dog stand. So people, when we're looking at your financial, even though just in the class we know each other, but it's just a quick reminder. So when you see it, assist in the class for logically basic, identify. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to identify the six, identify the months you project higher sales. Most people, when you do your forecasting, you're just going to divide your revenue and you divide your expenses over 12. In reality, it doesn't work that way. If I'm selling Christmas trees or if I'm selling swimming pools, they're very seasonal. So I have to make sure that in those seasons I have to make a certain amount of profitability, and my revenues are going to go up. The other ones I'm still selling stuff. In the off season, I may be selling something for the holidays, or I may be selling stuff to because I'm still selling swimming pools only in different parts of the country. So, but up in the northern or where it's colder, you wouldn't be selling swimming pools. So, what you'd have to do is on your projection when you're going for any kind of loan or any kind of looking at any kind of financing, you have to understand, when do I need financing? Do I need it ahead of time? And if you're going to look at your budgets with your accounting, it's not going to be a straight line. You're going to have peaks and valleys. What I want you to identify is which months you think is going to be higher and which months are going to be lower, and how you're going to be, will you adjust and keep in your operation afloat during the lean month. Look at Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen basically sells ice cream. That's their peak period, and that's where they make the most of their capital to sustain them over the year. But they still have the building sitting there. It doesn't make sense to have the building sitting there and not make any kind of money off of that or return on my investment. So what does Dairy Queen do? They sell hot dogs and other things during the off months. The same thing like drive-through. If you look at a drive-through, they're very few out there. It's nostalgia, but there's some out there. So what do they do in the winter months? In the winter months, they may have a flea market, or look at the golfing range. What do they do in a winter month? They may do something with snowmobiles or something else. So they have something else that here's where I make most of my money in my key months. This is the months that the business is uh, noted for, and this is the month where we make our money. But then in the off months, I may adjust my business or sell something else. Or some businesses may be stable across all 12 months, but you understand around the holidays you may drop around a certain period, or you may increase depending on your product or the services you're selling. Okay, so what percentage do you expect your expenses are going to be for the next year? Your reasoning, just give me some rationale, because in business where you're taking you're an entrepreneur or you open up a new product or anything else, you're doing budgets. Any kind of managers, any first line managers all the way up, you have to budget. We budget right now. Next year, if you are in a fixed income, you budget by the month. You take all those months and it becomes a year's budget. And remember, the budgets, when you look at that far, the finance, they're taking the best estimate now. Looking at the historical data, most of you don't have any historical data, so you use some rationale using other people's historical data and going forward. And then you, if you're at midterm and then you say, hey, we're off budget or we're making too much money, maybe I should adjust my budget. Maybe I could bring in more inventory. So you see what I'm talking about? So when you look at your forecast look at it as a moving target, but at the end of the year you should be within 5 or 10% of what you forecast. That tells me that you know the business and you know the ups and the highs and lows of the what do you call it, your financial periods. Okay, same logic with the cash flow. What percentage you need for cash? How will you use the debt? Will you use debt or equity financing? Debt means I'm taking out a loan, line of credit, or selling bonds. Or equity financing means I'm bringing another partnership. I'm selling off some assets, or I'm selling stocks if I'm a S corporation, and now I have more owners. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do, and here's the biggest thing, the reason I tied this in, since the Obamacare is already up and running, even though there's some glitches in it, and from a small business, there's a lot of, I want you to start looking at small businesses and small and medium businesses, even larger ones. Larger ones could ride out the storm because you have capital set aside. The small and medium businesses, they're almost like a lot of households. You have just enough to make maybe 2 or 3 months emergency stock, but that's it. So what are they going to do? I'm a small business, and remember, the new law is for me to offer health care, pay a certain premium, off the premium from the Affordable Health Care Act. If I have more than 50 employees, I basically I have no choice, otherwise I pay a penalty. Penalties right now is low, but over the next 5 years, it become very expensive. So some corporations will just drop the insurance and say it's still cheaper for us to pay the penalty than it is to have the employees or have us subsidize, pay our portion to the healthcare. It's a big issue. It'll all work out in the next couple of years. But as a business owner, you're the dilemma. I'm at, and just pretend, even though most of you open up your businesses in a year or somebody else, just think in the future. Let's say the Healthcare Act just hangs in there and it goes through forward. It's not going to be repealed or anything else. And now you have the choice. You're at 35, 36 employees, and for next year you're forecasting. Do you remember once you go over that 50 or once you go over that 50 mark, you got 46 or 46 to even 49 employees. Do I hire, and I need 4 more or 5 more employees? Do I hire 4 more full-time employees, which basically forces me into the Obama requirements or to the affordable health care requirements? Or do I hire, I need 4 more employees because the business is growing, or do I hire 8 part-time employees or 2 full-time employees? Or what's the rationale? Or do I hire nothing and just stay low, and do I outsource or contract out? And look at your business, your venture, your feasibility, and just project yourself out, thinking that it picked up and your company went from 2 or 3 because you had such a good idea and everything else, and now you're at that threshold. What would you do? And I'm not trying to be, it's one thing looking at it as an individual, and you still have a social responsibility, but looking at it from a business owner, this is where the businesses are at a dilemma. What decisions? How much is it going to cost? Because remember, if I had to pay this premium and everything else, I'm not paying insurance now, or if I'm paying very maybe small amount, but if I have to pay this, whether I pay the premium or the penalty, that's going to cut into my profitability just because of 2 or 3 employees, and will this be able to sustainable? If I see my business growing, it makes good sense. It's going to add on to it, because you have to pay it sooner or later, or do I outsource? And if I outsource, is that the ethical thing? Is that the socially responsible thing to do for an employee that's been working for me? So it's not not an easy dilemma. And look, I don't want you to come back and say what I want to hear. You're a business person. Remember, if you know the forms, there's no right or wrong answer. And other individuals, if you have a strong feeling one way or the other, you're still individual entrepreneurs, business owners from small to medium. Large companies are doing different things. So you have to look at it why you're doing this, and then look at the perspective. Is it for because you're barely surviving and you need it, or because you want to keep all this profitability for yourself, or you feel that it's a good business decision to help my employees. All right, so that takes care of our forum. You have one quiz and you have one what do you call it, connect homework, and we should be okay then. So if I'm looking at this, I think we're doing pretty good on week 13. I think there's like, so what do we have? We have 25 points. The form is worth more points. You have 20 points here. You have 60, so you have basically 65 points. Look, you're almost done. You're hanging in there. Most of you, I see I have a lot of B's. I have a lot of A's. I have a few C's. I have a few D's. And yes, I do have a few S. But, now the time is not to slow down. Now the time is to get everything going. Keep this information like you've been doing, cutting and pasting out of the forms into your feasibility research paper, and you'll be all ready. All right. So this is Introduction to Business Management 111 online, offered by Harper College. We're in week 13, covering chapter 18. This is just an overview for what's going to happen within a week. And I'll see you online. And I'll see you in the forum by Tuesday or earlier. Bye.